Today we're back at the home base to do a little decorative work here. I just added a few more bridges, these two over here, because I'm reserving this area for a witch's hut. So I'm just going to start building it, and then we'll move on to other things. I'm just starting off the build as usual by laying down the perimeters. I had to change it a couple of times before I got something that I liked. Then I just went ahead and started putting in the floors. The palette that I'm using for this build is spruce and dark oak, just because they're the darkest wood that fit the style of a classic witch hut. While I made the outline of the roof, I kept extending the height of it because I want the roof to look wonky and unrealistic compared to every other roof in the village. I also made the roof asymmetrical compared to the other roofs to give the hut a unique accent that isn't really found in any of my other builds. I've also noticed that while building this whole town, there isn't really much use to any of the builds that I made. Of course I'll be adding the brewery stand and a few cauldrons to the hut, but they'll mainly be used as decorations since I'll probably set up another brewer station in my underground bunker base later in the future that will be automated and connected to my other farms. The reason why I still want to work on this base, even though it's almost entirely decorative, is because I want to keep some variety to my builds and my time spent on this world. For the last 7 or so episodes, I was stuck in my bunker base grinding for tools, farms, and enchantments for the villagers, and I was honestly getting really sick of building the exact same modules and spending a bunch of hours doing extremely repetitive tasks. I'm sure I won't regret building the iron golem farm, or at least clearing out all the space, since now I have as much iron as I can need and plenty of stone blocks, but I just needed to take a break from that whole area for probably a few episodes. One thing I've noticed from building tall overworld structures is that I've really been using a lot of rockets, and very quickly seem to run out of them. I'll have to start building a creeper farm to get the gunpowder for the rockets, but again, I won't be returning to my underground base in a good while. Going back to the build, you can probably see me at least starting to add the spruce roof. What I'm thinking of doing with the surrounding area is to take a variety of flowers from the nearby forest and add them to the mini islands that are connected by the bridges. I also remember that while I was building the final bridges, I tried to make a little sort of gondola to go under the bridge, but it looked absolutely atrocious, and I just tore it all down. From a top view of the village, I realized a few things needed to be changed, like the pathway going from house to house needed stuff like gravel and coarse dirt to make it more detailed, and I might need to tear up some clay in the pond because the patches look oddly circular, and throw the scenery off. After this time lapse, I decided to put stone brick walls and iron bars in the windows and think the dark brown and the light gray works well together. The completed build looks the best in the night just from the ambient lighting sources that I used compared to the really bright lighting sources I used everywhere else. I still haven't added any permanent lighting, but when I do I'll probably opt for the soul lantern in the 1.16 update because they offer a more subtle lighting. Bringing up the Nether 1.16 update, when it comes out I'll probably jump right into everything that has to do with the Nether. I'll also most likely start with setting up my Nether hub, which I have an idea of already, and then work my way out and explore the new areas that are going to be featured in the Nether. I'm excited about using blackstone since it's the first of its color to really be in the game. The ashiness of basalt and blackstone are going to be pretty useful in future builds, and probably also in renovating current builds such as the furnace and the blacksmith shop. The Nether update should be out in the near future since the current snapshots are dealing with the finalization of the process, but until then I'll just continue builds like this in the overworld since there's no point in building anything in the Nether right now if it's all going to disappear. So I'm just finishing up the build of the witch hut, and I'm about to move on to something else for this episode. So now I've finished the witch's hut, and I've almost entirely finished the interior decorating. I have this little cage up here, and what I'm thinking of doing is When the Nether update comes out and we switch over to the Nether update, I'm just going to add the chain blocks here instead of the iron blocks. Well, the iron bars, because they stick to the side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a zombie pigman in here. When we do switch over, I don't know what's going to happen to it, if it's going to glitch out or just disappear. But for now, it seems like a good idea. I like how this build is more asymmetrical than everything else, because the lore behind this town is that that's the main area and this is in the outskirts, and it's a little more spooky because it delves into like witchcraft and stuff like that. So it's supposed to be a little more like cabin in the woods, and contrary to the other furnace or whatever, the other furnace, this one curves and goes out the side in a very curvy manner because it's supposed to be a lot more crude. So now what I'm thinking of doing is, after I transport the zombie pigmen, I'm just going to extend this path and also extend the height of the mountains, because I want to make these mountains taller so that there's a longer staircase to get to the top of it, where I'm going to house the shrine with the nether portal inside. So I'll just get to transporting the zombie pigmen, and then I'll start doing that. Before I lay out the path, I was thinking I was going to start on the mountain first, and this is how high I want it to be. I do want it to be past the clouds. It is going to be pretty ambitious, but I think I have definitely enough materials from the mining that I did in the other base. So I'll get to start on this. I'm thinking of just pillaring up on the places where I think I would add some height, and then I'm just going to chisel it all back down. I am still going to keep this sort of ravine inside of here, because I do want to make it a very dangerous trip to anybody who doesn't have any elytras. So I'm about to finish off the primary plateau, which is going to house the building on top of it. This did take me a couple, not a couple, more like 10 hours in total to finish this one. And I've just developed a little technique to do it. I do 2 pillars each time, but it's still taken a pretty long time. So what I'm thinking of doing is, I'm thinking I might want to heighten it even more, because looking at it right now, it still looks a little too low from down below. But I have made a lot of progress. The top of it used to be this level, and now it's all the way up there. But I still might want to make it a little higher. So I'm just gonna finish this up. What I also want to do is, instead of just doing that plateau and then this little thing here, I'm thinking of extending the height all the way down to over there, and to start off the staircase over there. So I'll just finish this up, and I think I might take a break from making this whole block over here, and I might start with starting off the build over there. So yeah, that's what I'll do. Now I have just a little beginning of a shell on this whole tower thing. I just put a layer, actually about 4 layers of dirt over the top here, and made the beginnings of a temple. It is very high in the air. It kind of just looks like a block right now, but I'll get that sorted out in the next episode. Right now I'm just working on this. I might change up which blocks go where, but I am using stripped acacia wood just because I like the redness of it, and I'm making this whole place an octagon, which is a little hard. It does look a little blocky considering it is a small build while still trying to look like an octagon, but I did do the measurements right, so it should be looking okay once I finish it. So I'll get to maybe adding the second layer and then I'll check back in on it. I've just finished the second level on this building, and what I've noticed is that the quartz doesn't really go well with any of it. What I was going for was that there's a dark palette and a light palette, and with the quartz, it makes it so that there's a dark palette, a light palette, and an even lighter palette. So when you look out on it, it just looks a little color busy in my opinion. I don't know, I might keep it in if I think if once I finish this whole structure that it looks okay with it. But right now I don't really like it and I'm planning on taking it out. So I'll just finish up the whole roof and then I'll need to get more acacia wood for that. But so I'll finish up the roof and then I'll check back in. I just noticed something really weird. When I was just collecting gunpowder for my rockets, I stumbled upon that guy. This is not, like I didn't die, I still have all my armor here. And he has full diamond armor, which is very, very odd. Oh. Well, not full diamond armor. He doesn't have his hat, but that's a lot of diamond armor. So I hope I don't really need it, I just found it a good coincidence. So I just wanted to point that out, because this guy's pretty rare, and of course he dropped no diamond armor. Well, that's all I had to say. Now I'm gonna go back to getting my gunpowder, and then I'm gonna get finished on the whole build. So I finished the roof and started working on the flooring for this thing. So then I just went on a little mining session to get a stack and a half more diamond ore. I don't know if it's gonna be enough to complete this. I just used the diamonds that I have and the beacon that I have to complete this. I need to put the beacon in the middle because it's an odd number and this is the thing that works out the best. There isn't really any other option that'll look good. So I think I'll just have to kill another wither to get a second beacon. But what happened is it was a rainstorm when I got back, so I just went to sleep, and then when I woke up, I went up here and it was basically burning, like fully burning. It was about to catch everything on fire. And it took out a little chunk of this thing. So I'll have to rebuild this thing before I fill in this part. But it really just sucks because, like, Minecraft really does hate me. Like, it's pretty obvious. So I'll get to doing that and then filling the yin yang in. Finally, I finished in the yin yang and added a pond of water over top it. I also completed the reparations of the building and added the nether portals inside all along here, just because this room is going to be for the nether portals. On the outside, the nether portals look pretty good. They kind of look like windows, but I can't really do anything with the corners. But it looks pretty good anyways. So now that I've finished this building, I'll move on to other things. So this is going to be the end of the episode. If you liked the video, then like the video. And if you want to see more videos of mine, then subscribe. Bye.